Bonjour everyone, welcome to our webinar this afternoon. Let me introduce myself. I'm Nathalie Lacombe, a Director of Membership and Certification with canfitpro, and it's an absolute pleasure to have all of you on today for our webinar called So You Want to Be a Trainer. I'm so happy that there's so many of you on that are interested in the opportunity of joining the fitness industry, as it's something that I, of course, am incredibly passionate about. So the first thing I want to tell you is that of questions, you may ask them at any time by typing them into the question box that you can see on your webinar control panel. I'm going to wait probably till I'm going to say the last 5 or 10 minutes of the webinar to answer those, just so we can keep a flow, but I will do my best to answer as many of them as possible at the end. If I can actually see them at the end and you can stay on a little bit longer, I might actually contact you after the webinar if it's something that requires a little bit more detail, and if not, like I said, I'll do my best to keep some time at the end to respond to the questions that you guys have asked. So feel free to type them throughout. I'm just going to ask that you be patient, and I'll respond to those as quickly as possible. And it's just in case you're logging in a little bit later, or you have someone that you think would really like to hear the information that we've presented in the webinar. A recording as well as the slide set will be available on our website within 2 or 3 days. So if you click on the membership pages and you go to free webinars, you'll be able to listen to it again just in case you missed something, or as I mentioned, if you know someone that might benefit from the information, you can go ahead and send that directly to them. And welcome, and we'll go ahead and get started. So first thing we're going to talk about is whether or not you have what it takes to be a trainer. And I know that we put the title of You Want to Be a Trainer, but we're assuming that perhaps some of you are interested in the fitness industry at large. So you might want to be a fitness instructor, you might want to be a personal trainer, you might want to actually manage a club. You're just interested in the fitness industry and want to know more about it and want to know how to become successful at it right from the start. So the first thing we're going to talk about are role models. So who is inspiring you? I'm assuming that if you're interested in becoming a personal trainer or a fitness instructor, it's because you're participating in classes with amazing instructors that motivate you to come back week after week. Or perhaps you've had a great experience with a personal trainer. Perhaps you have a wonderful success story of someone who struggled with their health or with their weight, and through the help of a fitness professional achieved amazing success and are now living a fantastic lifestyle. Perhaps you just think that it's something that looks really exciting to do. Or what tends to happen a lot is that you have you can't see me now, but I'm doing quotations next to my head. You have what we would call sometimes a real job, but that you spend so much time in fitness, whether it be outdoors, whether it be in a community center, whether it be in a gym, and you're wondering if that could be something that can become your part-time job, something you can become just involved in on weekends or evenings, or even become your actual quote-unquote job. So who are the people that are inspiring you? And spend a few minutes thinking about that. You'll be able to establish what type of professional you actually want to become and you want to strive to become. And sometimes the bad ones can inspire us as much as the good ones can, and that's okay. So are there things that you've seen in classes or personal trainers that you feel you can do an excellent job at, even better than some of the ones you see out there? And that's great, because that means you'd probably be a fantastic member of our industry. Another that I'd like to talk to you guys about a little bit is the genuine love of people. So we are very much, if not entirely, a people-driven industry. So the people that work in the fitness industry, if you ask them why they do it, they won't say things like, oh, you know what, I heard it was really profitable. It's the kind of thing that I thought I could make a lot of money out of. That's very rarely the motivating factor for fitness professionals. Most of the time they love working with people and they want to genuinely help people achieve their goals and become fitter and become healthier. So that's the driving force behind most people that are in the fitness industry, as I mentioned, and actually really like being around people, as opposed to machines, as opposed to computers, as opposed to sitting in an office. They can actually wear, you know, Lululemon clothes all year round and be paid to do it while they're at it. So that's the great benefit of working in this industry, as well as a desire for continuing and never-ending improvement. So as you can imagine, if you've seen it already, the fitness industry is always changing and always growing, and fitness professionals are constantly striving to become better. So whether it be to keeping up with the trends, whether it be to specializing in a particular population segment, or whether it be just to get motivated by other fitness professionals, these are some of the significant components in order to be really successful in the industry. And we'll talk about those a little bit more in detail in a sec. Where to start? I'm sure you won't be surprised that my recommendation for that is a nationally as well as internationally recognized certification. So the two that we have listed are our two foundational certification, our personal training specialist and as well as our fitness instructor specialist certification. So difference between the two are fairly significant, but they're both, as I mentioned, the foundational certifications that we offer. So if your goal is to work one-on-one or in small groups with clients and to see them on a continual basis, to create program design for them, to help them stay motivated to achieve their goals, etc., then the PTS is the one that's right for you. If you'd rather do is teach fitness classes to a group of participants using music, then the FIS is the one that's right for you. When we talk about small group training, we kind of get into that middle ground of the two. If you're doing it, for example, outdoors, if you're doing it in a setting that doesn't require music or won't use music, or maybe just use music as background, and you're doing a circuit type of class, you're doing those or a circuit type of program, you're doing that, might fit a little bit more with PTS, especially if we're talking about very small groups. If, on the other hand, you want to do those type of boot camps or circuit classes, but with a larger group of people using music, then the FIS is the one that's right for you. Let's talk about those two programs. We use them, as I mentioned, foundationally with seemingly healthy adults, and that's the focus of those two programs. So they will lay the groundwork for everything that you need to get the first foot into the door of the fitness industry. So will you be able to train every single client and teach every single type of class after this? No, but what you will be able to do is step into the industry and start building your business or start building your class base and hopefully be mentored to be that much more successful as you move through your years and your experience as a fitness professional. The other two components of that, the first one being CPR, so every single certification that's out there will require you to get CPR training because we do work in an industry where we need to be able to respond to those life and death type of situations as it's something that happens, as well as continuing education. So when you become certified with canfitpro or with any other organization, they will require you to get continuing education. Everybody sets it up in a bit of a different way. For canfitpro, it's 4 continuing education credits on a yearly basis for each one of your certifications. And at every conference that we offer, out of the 10 that we do across the country, we make sure that we get those 4 CCs, is what they're called, for PTS as well as for FIS. So the great thing about those events is that you're able to actually spend a lot of time with your peers and get all the drive, energy, and knowledge you need to be able to continue working and continue bringing that to your clients as well as your participants. Once you get your certification, then what do you do? So you need to look for work within the fitness industry. Sometimes you will have that champion instructor or champion personal trainer that will actually recommend, because they think you're so great, that you become part of the fitness industry. So they'll mentor you and help you find your way through it, perhaps because they think you're doing a fantastic job, perhaps because they see the spark in you and they think that you'd make a great addition to the fitness industry. So maybe you've got someone already, maybe not. So a few places for you to look for. The classic one are gyms. So we have over 10,000 clubs in Canada, some large chains, some one-off fitness clubs, and it's totally up to you to see what fits best. I would suggest that you actually, as soon as you decide that you're interested and you register for your certification, start going into the clubs in your community. See one that you've been at for years and years and years, and you know that that's the place where you want to be, and you've spoken to the leaders at that club, and you know that they've got some great career opportunities for you, then you're good to go. However, there might be some other places that you haven't been to yet. So go ahead and get out, get into your community, speak to the either owner, manager, coordinator of those clubs, ask them what their requirements are for their instructors and their trainers, and find out if it's a good fit for you. So if you get to a club and they say, you know what, we just think that anybody who can lift a lot of weight should be a personal trainer, might not be the club that you want to work at. Most of the clubs in Canada, and internationally now for that matter, will require certification. It's important for you to check that from the get-go so that you know that their standards meet yours, and you're going to be in a place that will require everyone to be certified and qualified. So it's great from the beginning also to find out if they actually subsidize or encourage continuing education. Maybe they'll cover part of the cost of your certification. Maybe they'll cover part of the cost of conferences for you to get your continuing education after that. So do a little bit of research, get around your community, and find out what's there. So some of them that we have listed are gyms, community centers, homes, so yours or theirs. This is mostly for personal trainers. It is a possibility for you to work out of your home or out of your actual clients' homes. Actually a bit more of a privileged service in personal training, but it is quite growing, and it's a way for you to be able to do things that are a little bit different and work in different environments. You will need to be a little bit more flexible and adaptable for that, but it is a great way to complete your business as a trainer. And these are the options that we suggest. One of the things that we always like to remind everybody of is to look into liability insurance, especially if you're not working within a fitness facility that will cover the liability for you as a trainer or instructor. We actually work with a liability insurance provider at canfitpro called Stevenson & Hunt, and they offer discounted liability insurance to all of our members that are certified. So that's something that we can help you with, and you can feel free to contact us, and we'll give you a few more details in terms of that. Once certified and you've been working in the industry for a while, you can also look into specializations, so you can refocus your efforts in terms of a population or a group or a piece of equipment, anything you want in terms of that. So we've listed a few here depending on what your interests are. So you can work for women who are pregnant or women who've had babies with our pre-postnatal fitness specialist one. Nutrition and wellness would delve even greater into everything that has to do with nutrition and everything that has to do with well-being. Older adults you can look into, mind-body fitness. We've also got certifications for resistable. We've got all sorts of ideas, whether there are certifications or at our events. So at every single one of our conferences, especially at the Toronto one, which is the largest one that we offer, we will have pre-conference sessions that are from our sponsors, our suppliers, where you can get sessions or certifications in terms of cycling, in terms of yoga, Pilates, etc., etc. So once you've got that foundational one, you can then look into the specializing ones. Let me have a quick look at the questions and see if there's anything that I can look into for that. So, prerequisites for personal training and group fitness courses. So I'm just going to try and see. I think that's Remy that asked that question. There are no prerequisites, Remy. That's a great question. These are the foundational ones. And within the foundational certifications, if we take the example of our personal training one, we cover everything you need to do to be able to start off as a personal trainer. So for example, in our PTS, you'll have a about 10-hour online course that was developed in partnership with Human Kinetics, and that will help cover cover most of the theory. So when you get to your in-class course with your pro trainer, and those are the experts in the fitness industry that teach our certification courses, you'll be that much more prepared to go right into the practical applications of the theory that you've learned. So you've got the online course, you've got 25 hours with one of our pro trainers, you've got our manual and our study guide, and inside the manual there's an CD-ROM, everything that has to do with anatomy, so you can actually go in there and practice and learn those basic skills and get that basic knowledge for anatomy, biomechanics, exercise physiology, etc., to be, again, that much more prepared. Following that, about a month later, you'll have a theory exam with the pro trainer again, which includes some multiple choice questions as well as case studies to start to get you to already apply that knowledge. And then you've got up to 6 months to do a practical exam, which is a one-on-one personal training session with a mock client. And you do that again with your pro trainer. So those are all the components necessary for you to become certified as a personal trainer. On the fitness instructor end, you also get your 25 hours with your pro trainer. You get your manual and your study guide. And the great thing is within the manual, there's actually not only a double music CD, but also an instructional DVD where you can see experts in the industry teaching a course and breaking down how they teach a fitness class. So that will get you, again, that much more prepared for your practical exam that comes after the theory exams. So those are how the foundational ones work. So you don't need a prerequisite. It's actually the prerequisite is included within the course confines. Let's see if I can have another look at a question. So someone's asking, what is mind-body fitness? That's a great question. Mind-body fitness has actually, for the past few years, been one of the growing segments of the fitness industry. And I'd include everything in there, some classes that you might recognize, such as yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, etc. So within our mind-body fitness specialist certification, we focus on everything that has to do with including the mind as well as the body within the confines of a fitness setting. So this is good for personal trainers as well as fitness instructors. So we go over stress management. We go over actually having conversations to be able to get your clients and participants to focus on the task ahead. And the principle that we used in terms of the techniques and in terms of the exercises is yoga for our mind-body specialist certification. So hopefully that answers your question. Get one more before we move on. Average cost of the courses, I'll get to that just at the end, but the entire certification for PTS and FAS is under $500. So it runs from $350 to $468, depending on whether or not you're actually already a member of canfitpro. I'll take a break from now, come back to our content, and then I'll follow up with some more questions later on. Physical activity and public health. Here's what I want you guys to really know and really remember, because it's an amazing opportunity for all of you that are interested. Physical inactivity is overtaking obesity as one of the top killers in the civilized world, which means people being sedentary is having the greatest impact on heart disease, on cancers, on things like diabetes and strokes. Everything is so affected by physical inactivity, and it's our greatest killer now in the civilized world. So we are in incredible demand and incredible need, as well as one big section of the healthcare system that people tend to forget, and sometimes medical practitioners tend to forget. But we really work beyond anything else in prevention. That is what we do. We help people get active and hopefully stay active to be able to decrease the risk of all those diseases that are killing people in the civilized world. It's also important for you to know that the fitness industry is growing rapidly. Significant demand for certified professionals. Every single club owner and manager that we speak to tells us that they need more instructors and they need more trainers. So personal training used to be, if you remember, maybe 10, 15 years ago, a little bit more for the rich and famous. In today's world, everybody is looking into potentially working with a personal trainer because they understand that it's not only the expertise when it has to do with program design and exercise safety, but also can be that key motivating factor to help you stick with your program. Because most people understand and know that physical activity is important. They think it's really important. 70% of Canadians actually say they have firm intentions of beginning a physical activity program. But between firm intentions and actually taking action and sticking with their programs is where we come in, where fitness professionals come in. So personal trainers are in high demand. When it comes to fitness instructors, we've got all of the ones that have been around for years and years and years, and I'll include myself in there, hoping that it doesn't age me too much, but there's a legacy need in fitness instructors. So we're trying to recruit the new breed of instructors that are going to come in and help grow the industry. I'm sure you remember, again, 10, 15, 20 years ago, where fitness instructors were classified as aerobics instructors. A lot has changed in classes and a lot has changed in the fitness industry. So when we include mind-body instructors in there, when we include instructors teaching muscle conditioning types of classes, when we include the ones teaching boot camps, when we include all of that, fitness instructors touch so many people, and it's not just aerobics anymore. Because of that, there's a really big need for it in the industry. So like I talked about before, in less than 6 months and for less than $500, you can have an exciting new career. This can be something that you would do full-time. This can be something that you do part-time. It could be just teaching a couple of classes a week on weekends, on evenings. It could be something that you're doing along with another job. It can be a full-fledged, successful, and really, really rewarding career. So those are all the options that you have on there. We have a quick look at a couple more questions. I'm so pleased that you guys have questions. I'll do my best to get through them as much as possible. The next one asks, the 25 hours of the course, how many weeks does that over, or how many weeks does that cover? So it depends on the pro trainer. Some of them will run them within all the evenings of a couple of weeks. Some of them will run them Saturday, Sunday, and then the following week, Saturday, Sunday. Most of them are done, I'm going to say, within 3 weeks. So all of those 24 hours are covered within that 3-week period, following which you have about a month or so to prepare and study for your theory exam. See, that answers that question. Can you take the specialized training courses, such as nutrition and wellness, before receiving a certification as a personal training specialist or fitness instructor specialist? Most of them, no. Most of them, you actually need to have that foundational one in order to be able to access. If there's one in particular that you're interested in and you want to call our customer service team, they can give you specifics on that. We do have some people that are, for example, health professionals like a massage therapist or a physiotherapist that will want to take our nutrition and wellness course and certification, and we will allow that. But we do ask that you have that prerequisite knowledge and training because they are more in-depth and they are more specialized. So thank you for that question. Let me see if I have another one. So someone says that there wasn't a CD or DVD when they took the certification. So the FIS program includes the CD and DVD as of January 2010. So we've had it for, a little over 9 months now. And so if you want to be able to get them, you can actually repurchase the manual, and they are included in that. So again, you can go ahead and call canfitpro or contact our customer service team, and you are absolutely able to purchase those now if you want. Okay, very good question now. Someone's asking about if the overlap between FIS and PTS, do they cover some of the same information? Do you need to do them separately? Can you combine them? Do you do them at different times, etc.? That's actually one of the questions we get a lot, and it's a great way for you to be able to define what you want to do. The fitness theory sections, which are the first couple of chapters of the manuals, are fairly similar because the body is the body, anatomy is anatomy, and the body moves through biomechanics in the same way in both. That said, all of the applications are very, very different. So how we work through muscle conditioning, how we work through cardiovascular training, how we work through flexibility is applied in very different ways in both. Most people will start with one, and it's the one that they're the most passionate about, the one they really want to start with, and following that, they'll be able to get to the other course and do the second one at a later date. I'm going to say the majority of the material is indeed different. If anything else, you'll just be that much more prepared to pass your theory exam because it'll be a review of the information. And just like what you do for a living now or what you do in school, that basic information is there at the beginning. We study really hard for it before the theory exam. Some of it's applied every day. A lot of it's kind of in the back of our mind. So it's a great refresher for you to do it again when you do second one, whether it be FIS or PTS. Hopefully that answers your question, Leanne. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. Let me see the next one. How often do you update each of your courses? It depends. We review them as regularly as possible. The PTS came out, I'm going to say within the last 2 years. The FIS is brand new because that was revised in January. The MBS is also one that's new. We're currently revising our CPR program. So we review them as regularly as possible, but you can go ahead and contact us and ask us when the last time it was reviewed. We really do everything we can as the leaders in the fitness industry to keep up on the trends and make sure that all of this has been done and everything is as fresh and current as possible. Take one more question, although I think that was my last slide, so I may as well go ahead and continue on with the question. Someone's asking if you can work as a PT after you've done the course, but before you take the exam and get paid. So let me start with that one first. That'll depend on who's hiring you. Like I said, most clubs will require a full certification, but perhaps they'll just ask you to shadow or work with someone, work and being mentored with someone at the beginning. So you'll need to ask your club whether or not you can actually get paid. I know that most clubs will give a bit of a 3-month time slot for you to be able to get your certification finished, and they'll kind of take you on as long as you've actually done the course and gotten the information. But really, if you want, you can get, like I said, your exam done within a month after the course, and it's a maximum of 6 months for the practical exam. If you're ready and you're prepared, you can actually get that done sooner, but there's a maximum of 6 months. And are you allowed to take on practice clients? And that's entirely up to you, and it's entirely up to the liability coverage that the club has and whether or not they allow for that period at the beginning. We do not give liability insurance, or our Stevenson and Hunt, I should say, does not give liability insurance to anyone until the certification is complete, because one of the big components of that, as I mentioned, is CPR. So it's not just that you've learned the information, but you've demonstrated your theoretical knowledge as well as your practical skills. And it's actually something we're really proud of. There are certifications out there that will only assess you theoretically. We are really proud that we also assess people practically, because it gives us that much more confidence in our standards that those certified trainers and instructors can teach really great classes and take really great care of their clients. Hopefully that answers your question, Jolene. This level of CPR is required. So we require CPR A, which is the adult CPR. That is what is required for certifications. Some people for their jobs prefer to get the C, which includes child and infant, but the one that we require is for adults because the certifications that we offer are for adults. So hopefully that answered your question. So next one is, do you recognize YMCA certifications to enroll in a specialized course directly? Probably. It depends on the certification that you took, because there's a lot of different levels with the YMCA. We also, for that matter, accredit other certifications. So those of you that are on the webinar today that might have taken part in other certifications, whether they're within Canada or around the world, we have an accreditation process and a system with that. So what we do is we map certifications to the other ones out there. So if all the components that need to be in the course have been taught, and if the people have been assessed practically and theoretically with the same pass rate that is ours, which is 80%, then we will accredit them. So for example, there are certifications, the ones that I talked about before, that only do a theory exam. The rest of it's there. What we'll do is we'll just require that person to pass a practical exam with our pro trainer. So we map all of those components. We look at all the core competencies, make sure everything was included. If it was, then there's a potential to accredit with canfitpro and then move forward with us in terms of that. The good thing to know also that our certifications, as I mentioned before, have also been mapped internationally. So they're currently being mapped for the European Health and Fitness Association, and they have been mapped to Fitness Australia. So if you want to travel around the world, obviously traveling within Canada, you're going to get what you need with canfitpro, but even internationally, we are the most recognized certification that's available in Canada. So most of the certifying bodies around the world will give you a level of recognition for what you have with canfitpro. Let me see. I purchase the personal training course material and study ahead of time. You can actually purchase it whenever you want. So most of the time, people will find a course that they want to take, even if it's 6 months ahead of time, and purchase the entire package, because as you can imagine, when you get the entire package, which includes the materials, the course, the exams, you do get a discounted rate on that. So if you're able to find that, I think it's Jessica. So if you're able to find a course that you're interested in, Jessica, you can do that. If you're not sure when you want to take the course and you just want to buy the materials, you can absolutely do that also. So you can buy our manual and our study guide ahead of time if you want to do that too. Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can get on to another question. Is there a way to have an online course without buying the package? So the online course with human kinetics is really not a separate human kinetics course. It's completely linked to our PTS, and that's available to anyone who registers to our course. There are other courses online available through Human Kinetics, and you can actually get onto our website and log on directly onto the Human Kinetics one that way if you'd like to do that. So you can do it that way. If there's someone that's got, so this person I believe, let me just double check, has a course or a university degree, there is the opportunity, if you do have a certification that expired a couple of years ago, or you have a kinesiology degree. So there's a few exceptions that we'll make for people who just want to take the exam challenge. And the exam challenge includes the course manual, the study guide, and the exam. We tend to keep a really close eye on that because a lot of people that thought they could challenge the exam and be successful were not. So we'll have a conversation with those people through our customer service team, make sure that they're actually going to be successful, because we don't ever want to set you up to not pass our exams and not have a great career. So that's perhaps an opportunity that you can look into in terms of that. Let's see. So someone's here says, program, push for insight, happy to find more. Oh my goodness. Okay, so someone's here says that they're actually taking a course right now, and there's not a whole lot of exercises done in terms of body weight. I don't know if that course is with us or with anybody else. We tend to go over everything, whether it be machines or body weight or anything else, because that can be great if you're doing those clients at home like I talked about before, because rarely in people's homes do we have a lot of exercises. So most certification programs will cover that content within the actual course. If it's not within the course, then we always have the opportunity to do more of that, whether it be through Human Kinetics courses. Like I mentioned, Human Kinetics works really closely with us for continuing education, but also at our conferences, also at workshops. So if you want to look into one of our events, I'm not sure where this person lives, but if you want to look into one of our 10 events across the country, they will very often be that, for the simple reason that we can't bring machines into conference centers. So a lot of the exercises that are actually demonstrated within our continuing education opportunities are done with body weight or with really, really light equipment that's easy to take from one place to another. I can get to the next in. The cost for the insurance is and Hunt for that, fantastic. So Stevenson Hunt can do that. I want to say it's $295 for, I want to say again, a $2 million liability insurance coverage. But they'll let you know what that is. There are some specifics if, for example, you're working in your home, if you're the owner or manager of a club. But for most people, that is what the cost of the liability insurance will be. Do we have any statistics regarding how often an average personal trainers will use their insurance? There isn't a lot of, there haven't been a lot of lawsuits in Canada in terms of that. There have been a couple. Most of them so far have been in the United States. I'm going to say as a personal trainer and fitness instructor that for 15 years now I've gotten the liability insurance every year because it's a risk that I am not willing to take. This covers everything from, for example, somebody slips and hurts themselves, whether it's within the confines of the exercises that you do or just walking over to a machine and perhaps the club didn't clean up the surface as well as they could have and they injure themselves. This includes also sexual harassment. It covers everything you can think of that might happen to you as a trainer, and it's one of those things, or an instructor, one of those things that you'd rather not have to worry about. And Stevenson and Hunt is an amazing provider of information as well as insurance. So if you want more details in terms of stats, I invite you to contact them directly. That might be the best way to go. Simon's asking, what happens if I do not keep up with my recertification requirements? We will give, so you need to renew these on a yearly basis. For very exceptional reasons, we will give slight extensions for that. But normally, those are our standards. So if you don't keep up with the standards, you will need to rewrite and repass the theory and practical exams. Because, again, whether it goes through the liability insurance or anything else, we need to do that. Asking what the conferences are like. Great question. I think that's Leanne. Are there mostly hands-on demonstrations or are there sit-down lectures and that type of education? So great question. There's both. At every single one of our events, we will have lectures, which are more theoretically based, as well as active sessions that are hands-on. And those are for both fitness instructors as well as personal trainers. I invite you, Leanne, to go online. We have a few conferences that are posted right now. I want to say our Calgary, Vancouver, and Newfoundland events are available for you to look at online. That'll give you a great idea of what's offered. Those are the ones that are left before now and the end of the year. I think the first one in 2011 will be our Montreal event, which is also a very large event. So go have a look at that, Leanne. There's actually both that are out there. If there's a local certified trainer for the 25 hours of in-class trainer. So if I understand correctly, I think this is Sharon. If I understand correctly, Sharon, you're wondering how you find a pro trainer. You can go online. There's actually a pro trainer listing on our website. So if you look in the certification page, you'll be able to find there's over 250 across the country. So there's very likely one that's in your area. You can also directly go onto our website under certification. If it's, for example, FIS that you're looking for, click on FIS and click on your province, and all of the upcoming courses and exams will appear. So you can either do it looking specifically for your province or go into the listing and find the one that's closest to you and just contact that person directly and ask them when their next course is. So you've got a couple of options for that. Someone's asking if it's a CPR level 1 or level 2. It's the CPR A, as I mentioned, which is the one for adults. That is the one that we are looking for now. Great question here from, I believe it's Jennifer. How much does the average personal trainer earn on a part-time basis? What's the hourly rate charged to clients? So I'm sure you can imagine, Jennifer, that there's a lot of variety depending on which club you work for, if you work on your own, if you're going to clients' homes, and I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of variety across the country. So the rates charged, for example, in Vancouver and Toronto won't be the same rates charged in Winnipeg or Moncton. So depending on where you live, there's a lot of variety for that. I'm going to say that on average, personal trainers will charge, if you're doing it on your own, will charge between $40 and $75 an hour for personal training. If you're working in a club and the club is doing that and charging the rate, then you will be making a portion of that rate. If it's a club that charges the personal training themselves. If it's at a facility where you can do it on a cost per head basis or a rental basis, that's another option too. So some clubs will have you come in and they'll just say that they want a cost per head. So the club will ask for $10 for every client you bring in, or we'll ask you a monthly rental rate, and you can come in and bring in as many clients as you want. If you're doing it on your own, like I said, anywhere between $40 and $75 an hour, depending on which area of the country you live in, and if you're doing it in a gym or in their home. Another great question from Leanne, are the conferences the only way of getting continuing education credits? They're not. They're the best way, because what we ensure, Leanne, is that we have enough CCs for what's required for the people in that area. So we'll make sure that we cover FIS, PTS, etc. But if you go onto our website, there's a calendar of events, and the calendar of events lists everything that has been brought to canfitpro's attention and requested for accreditation. So we look at what's offered, we look at the presenter, we look at the curriculum, and we will evaluate how many CCs are warranted for what's offered within that workshop or lecture or conference. So if you go on our calendar events, you'll find a lot there, as well as human kinetics. So I mentioned them a few times. They have online courses going on, and we will actually accredit CCs for those online courses. So even if you live in Iqaluit, although I have been to Iqaluit to offer CCs, even if you live in Iqaluit, you can go online and get those CCs via human kinetics. Hope I answered your question, Leanne. So a couple of minutes left. Look at what's here. Is there a package price for the health and wellness? I'm assuming you're asking about the nutrition and wellness one. There's a package price for every single one of our certifications, and they range depending on the certification, whether or not you're a member and whether or not you get the early bird price, from about $300 to $470, depending on which program we're talking about and how early you register for the course. So, interesting question here. I don't see the person's name, but there's actually a law to be certified for personal training or teaching classes. So you're absolutely right. Some fitness facilities don't require that. So in Canada, it is not legislated. So there's no legislation in Canada that requires you to be certified to be a personal trainer and fitness instructor. And this person said that it scares him or her a bit. I agree. It scares me too. Most Commonwealth countries actually do require it. So in Australia, in New Zealand, in most European countries, in England, etc., in the UK, there is a requirement for that. So there's a registry in those countries, and you are required to do that in order to be able to work within the fitness industry, and that includes liability insurance coverage. In some places that includes a music license to be able to use it in your classes, etc. In Canada, it's not. So what we do as canfitpro is we the standards ourselves. So every single certification has the core competencies, has standards of practice, and has a code of ethics, and the certified members that work within those confines need to respect those standards of practice and that code of ethics. So we essentially have, to a certain extent, legislated ourselves for our over 10,000 certified members in the country, because we do it in such a way that government doesn't have to, or if the government does at some point, we've covered our bases and make sure that we uphold the highest standards nationally and internationally. Hopefully that answers your question. Started it because I don't know. Legal. So somebody I think has either 14 clients or 14 people in their class, and they're wondering whether or not it's illegal. It won't be illegal, but it certainly won't be recommended, because you're putting yourself as well as your clients or participants at risk. So I'm going to say as soon as possible as you can get that done for your own peace of mind, as well as for all the knowledge and skills that come along with that. we want every single personal trainer and fitness instructor working in this country to be certified and to have a current certification. That's why we work so hard. That's what gets up in the morning, because we know that it affects a population. canfitpro members affect over 2 million Canadians every single day. And so what's up to importance for us is to make sure that they're prepared to be able to take very good care of those people and essentially enhance what we talked about healthcare in Canada before. We have 1 more minute. Let me see if I can get to another question before we do. I'll stay online for a little bit of time, if it's possible, to see if I can get through them. And if not, then you can go ahead and send us an email at what's below. So you have Erin's contact information. Erin is our membership development manager. So she's the one that sets up the webinars. If you have any questions, you can follow up. The email address is on the screen. If you're interested in certifications, then you can go ahead and email the certifications@canfitpro.com address, or you can call us at any time and we will be happy to follow up with you on that. Asking that they said they came to the conference and there's a lot of specialized certified programs available. Do you recommend doing that before the PT program? No. Again, the personal training specialist and the fitness instructor specialist ones are the foundational ones. They will lay the groundwork so that then you can focus in on kettlebells or on resistible or on Pilates. These are really the 2 foundational ones, and they're the ones that are required by the fitness industry. So that's where you're going to get all of your content to get started on the right foot, and then following that you can specialize in something. That is the way that we would recommend that you go. We're out of time, everybody. I have a feeling we could do this for another 2 hours, but we're out of time. So I'm going to try and just stay online with those of you that still have some questions on there, and I might just type in the answers instead or have you follow up with someone. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate all of you being on. I hope to see you in an upcoming course. I hope to see you at an upcoming event. Best of luck to all of you and great success in the fitness industry. Thank you so much.